When we finished the foretelling, we left off on a post-credit scene that teased Mandalorians and specifically the Skirata clan. How does a character like Cal Kestis play with Mandalorians, specifically Mandos from the expanded universe?
I found Zenutaro. He's dead.
Is the saber intact?
The saber is unharmed.
Then we move to the next objective.
Bart adjusted.
Affirmative. Family is more than blood.
Family is more than blood.
Valence Skirata.
How do you integrate expanded universe Legends material with the current Disney canon? I think one of the reasons why Cal Kestis is such a fun and interesting character, he is confident in who he is. He's having to push the limits of what it means to be a Jedi. Seeing how he overcomes obstacles and learning how to stay true to the light side, I think people really appreciate characters like Cal Kestis.
Just when you thought he had given up.
Look at how epic this is.
Today I'm gonna show you guys how I made my Cal Kestis costume. Ladies and gentlemen of Star Wars Celebration 2023, Cal Kestis himself, Cameron Monaghan.
This was actually before Jedi Survivor came out, and as I was writing, I was always cautious and a little weary that what I was writing was ultimately going to be quote-unquote decanonized by the story of Jedi Survivor. So I wanted to make sure I wrote a story that could very well have happened between the first game and the second game without too many stakes or character changes that would have felt odd going into Jedi Survivor. Finding that balance of how far I could take Cal Kestis as a character without necessarily conflicting with established canon. Like George Lucas, I tried to be heavily influenced by cinema that came before. Most of the influence behind Kestis originated from the Samurai trilogy, and in specifically Episode 3, Duel on Genryu Island. I just loved the visuals of this epic sword fight on the beach at sunset, and I just wanted to create the Star Wars version of that. I also really enjoyed the 1930s Flash Gordon serials. You have this titular character that teams up with this really awesome one-off character who has their own unique and interesting story, and they just get into the sandpit and play. And I loved that idea and wanted to do something like that with the Mandalorians.
So, what's the plan?
Right now, we hold the element of surprise. We need to take your ship and...
But with every great story, there is a compelling conflict. To me, it was always just so obvious from the get-go. It had to be Cal Kestis versus Starkiller. Starkiller is in many ways a reflection of Cal Kestis. You have two great Legends era video games. Now we have these two great Disney canon Star Wars games. It was just a versus battle that I think everyone who's enjoyed the Jedi games just immediately grasps onto. How does Cal Kestis survive this duel? We know that Cal Kestis is going to survive the events of this fan film, but if he's pitted against Starkiller, suddenly the question is, okay, how does he survive? There has to be some loophole, some way that he gets out of this, and I don't know how. And that to me was what I believed was going to carry people through the runtime of this fan film.
To the Sith Stalker helmet?
No, don't hurt Marin. Yes, let's go.
Whoa, holding the blade in.
No! Oh my gosh!
I'm eagerly awaiting this one. This was really, really good.
My hands are shaky. Literally looks like a Disney Plus show.
Before any filmmaker really dives into the production of his fan film and he's sort of knee deep into the pre-production aspect, he really needs to consider who the target audience of this production is going to be, right? You can't just make this film and hope for the best. You really should have a target audience in mind because that's going to be who you market it to. That's going to be the people that sits down to watch and enjoy and appreciate the product that you put together. So I knew going in, obviously, I wanted to reach Star Wars fans, but not every Star Wars fan is going to watch a Star Wars fan film. I needed to reach Star Wars fan film fans. Now, I also knew I was going to be playing around with a video game character, so I needed the Star Wars audience that watches fan films and plays video games. I also needed to tap into the audience that loves and appreciates expanded universe characters like Starkiller, like the Scarata clan. I needed an audience who enjoyed current Disney canon Star Wars. That's a very specific audience. That little tiny dot, that was my audience. And I felt very confident that I could reach them.
That looks about sculpted. I actually like the asymmetrical the gray better. I'm glad that worked out.
I collaborated with Nicholas Palantonio. His company is CGS Props, and it was such a thrill to work with him again, especially because we knew that his Mandalorian character was going to be a prominent character in our fan film. I did a lot of the conceptual illustration myself. I actually reached out to Jordan Lamar Wan. He consulted me and offered me tons of advice. He understands the look of Cal Kestis more than anybody. Practicality was the primary motivation behind designing Cal Kestis.
The boots are great. I know, I'm so happy that this turned out.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. It needs to be a bit wider, so I'm just gonna take this part off and then make it a bit larger in the back there.
The costumes really speak for themselves. Between the props and the costumes and the armor and all those things.
As opposed to the other Inquisitors we've seen, such as in the Kenobi show, we wanted to express his battle damage and stuff, and we just thought Galen would probably want to show off all the battles he's been in so far and wouldn't want to keep up with Imperial code. The original design was for a clone trooper chest and back. We opted for this one because of the maneuverability we could get from our actors because it sits higher on the body.
And so this is our Inquisitor Galen costume tried on for the first time. Look at that. Inquisitor Galen Merrick.
And to see characters that you designed brought to life, and you're looking at and you can shake that person's hand, you're like, wow, I drew you, and now you're standing right in front of me. It's a surreal experience. It's weird seeing like something you designed and then like meeting it in person. Like I've been getting to know Barton Justic in the screenplay for like 6 months now, and that's like here he is. Dax picks it up at the end of the foretelling, and Barton is a former Jedi, and Phelan wasn't sure whether or not Barton was going to want to be a Mando or a Jedi, so he was prepared to have both ready to go because that's what a father does. He's supportive them. And at that point, it was Barton's choice of who he wanted to be, and ultimately he chooses to be a Mandalorian and gives the lightsaber to Cal Kestis, who later gives it to Luke, who ends up being the very person that Zendutaru was foretelling. And so it all sort of comes full circle. Yeah. And of course, it couldn't be a Star Wars fan film about Cal Kestis without Wesley Hamilton. Me and Wes are really good friends, and so we were constantly having conversations about what a Kestis sequel would look like. Not even a Jedi can keep me from doing what's right.
He's like my best buddy, so we hang out all the time. It's not like a new thing. I'm in a lot of his stuff, so I'm very familiar with him. He makes it easy to work with. We joke around, so
as soon as those conversations were happening, he was right there, ready to go, replaying the video games and studying the character even further than he did for the foretelling. When you walk up and you come to your stop, just take a moment with it. Like you smell something, something's cooking. Like like y'all are figuring out who's boss here.
You didn't have to kill my friend.
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it.
Why'd you have to kill me, bro?
You could have talked to him.
Tried. You weren't there.
You should have called me.
Should have called
Jedi.
Man, look at you got your friend, Jack. That long hair. Trying to tempt me.
So it doesn't feel like work when you're working with Wesley Hamilton.
Lightsaber wound. You know anything about that? You do.
Rufus Baker Jr. Was someone I met on a film set. I showed him the foretelling. He loved it. He told me next thing I do, he wants to be part of it. So as soon as I started working on Kestis, I wrote the role of Barton Jussic specifically with Rufus Baker Jr. in mind. But we're probably going to hear the Velcro tearing audio-wise. That's right.
I'd take.
Do not want to be here. And here you are having to be that.
How is your experience on set so far?
Oh man, it's experience like no other. I'm very grateful to be here.
Rachel Molina as Marin was a person that I met inadvertently through Rachel DeBiccaro. She honestly carried this presence, this quiet strength about her that just reminded me of Marin. Once I knew that Marin was going to be someone we would bring into live action, I was like, Rachel Molina, that's the one. Starkiller was going to be interesting because to save money and resources, it just made more sense for me to step into the costume, but I knew I couldn't bring his voice to life. And Galen Merrick has a very specific Sam Witwer voice. A buddy of mine, Jack Heckler, I've known him for a long time. He was in one of my first films, The Clown Prince, and we've always just kind of kept in touch since then. I always remembered him having such a similar Sam Witwer voice.
More than whatever you rats could scrounge up in the gutters. For some of them, it'll take weeks of aggressive socialization. At least they'll have the choice to join or die. Some people are denied those options, such as yourselves. I need you to stay away.
Beautiful, Jack. That was great.
Can we do it again? I feel like
I'll regret not running that one. Galen spins around.
I need you to stay away.
There's always a choice to be better than who you were yesterday.
I need you to stay away. You agreed to stay away.
Like there's so many people who I've spoken to online who were like convinced that Sam Witwer voiced Starkiller in our fan film. And that's just a testament to Jack Heckler as a voice performer and an actor.
I sensed one, now I can sense three. The light side is strong here.
I brought in Rachel DeBiccaro as my assistant director. She's been with me for just about every project I've done. Through a lot of her connections, we were able to bring in tons of incredibly talented people that stepped up to the plate and volunteered their services. The film could not exist without Rachel DeBiccaro. She really helped put all that together. I'm also really proud of the team that I worked with and what we were able to accomplish just out of our sheer passion for Star Wars and filmmaking. And we were able to put that whole fan film together just under 13 grand. I just think that's a testament to passion over the paycheck and just pure love for Star Wars. But that said, I did put a considerate amount of money into making sure that people didn't have to buy their own gas, and I made sure that meals were great. So Chick-fil-A, Publix subs, a really dynamic crafty table, and by crafty, it was basically just like Red Bull and Gushers, but really that's all people really ask for on a film set, so I was happy to oblige. I don't think I really understood how big this production was until the week before shooting. I I wrote a 40-minute script. I had 30-plus people working for me. I had a plot and a subplot. I had costumes and VFX, and I had sets being designed and getting ready to be constructed, and I was like, holy crap, this is a lot of stuff I have zero experience in. As me and Rachel were planning the shooting schedule and the shot lists, considering all the costs put in place, we quickly realized, oh gosh, we have to shoot 40 pages worth of script in 6 days. Now, even though we were on a time crunch, I wasn't gonna let that be my excuse to blitz through scenes. I really wanted to make sure that the moments we had with Bart and Jessic were real and intimate and sincere. And specifically, there was this great moment. This was during the sequence where his clan is getting captured by the Empire and he's having to watch through the woods, and we really had to tap into some sensitive memories for Rufus to get to that place. All the emotions are just overwhelming you, and just, you turn around. It's kind of like in Return of the Jedi, when Luke is looking out the viewport and he's seeing all of his Rebel Alliance friends being destroyed. He turns around, like he can't look at it any longer. You're just seeing all of it on his face. And he shared an experience he had where his father passed away and he wasn't able to make it in time to be there for his father before he passed away. He gave me permission to use that as a tool for him, and like, hey, let's use this. Let's tap into that, because here is your family and they're being captured by the Empire while you have to sit here and watch and you can't do anything about it. And it was a really sensitive moment, and we stayed close to each other. I was right there behind the camera watching them. It turned out to be a really great shooting day. Action. This particular production was sentimental to me because both of my parents played roles in this fan film. My mom was the Bith Butcher. My dad stepped into the Mandalorian armor and he plays Phelan Scarata. I just love my parents. And I feel like a lot of Star Wars is about parents and their children. It just felt really great to be able to say, my parents were in my Star Wars film. Camera's gonna be pushing back. Once he says his line of, don't suppose you folks to speed things up, like Indigo Montoya, don't suppose you can speed things up, right? And so once he's finished, I do not suppose you're gonna speed things up. Then you're gonna look from Sonder to over here at Dax and say everyone's accounted for, except Taruk. Working with Mandalorian cosplayers was a real treat. It was definitely a new experience for them because they were more used to the Comic-Con scene and photography. To make the job easier for all these people who weren't performers, we created a soundscape with every character's lines. And so when we were on set, we played them on a speaker. And so all of our Mandalorians move their bodies and show mannerisms to the lines that they were saying. Nobody could get their lines wrong because nobody had any lines to say. The speaker was saying all the lines for them. So in a way, it was like live ADR. And now the Empire has woken you guys back up and they're taking you to their shuttles as prisoners up to the Star Destroyer.
Wouldn't I be going that way?
Yeah,
I'm being escorted by troopers to...
Yes,
okay.
So your character is going to be sort of walking this direction and maybe kind of look back a couple of times. We'll probably just cheat it, pretend you all are cuffed, put your hands together like this, and you're literally just going to walk.
I want troops posted at their shuttle. If there are stragglers, we'll bait them with their own vessel.
And then this was around you, right, during it? So if we kind of just put it on you. Alright.
Wake them up after they're cuffed. I don't want to have to carry them back to the shuttle. The Inquisitor's likely on the surface by now.
Dang, Dax Bridges got a dumpy.
I'm so glad I got that.
You want to be the first person to get the action when the door opens. Because, I mean, part of it is you protecting your fellow men, but at the same time, ready for fight. You know, like, get in here, yeah. So you're kind of hanging out the door, you know, and you kind of turn back. I'm supposed to book some speed things up. We gotta get out of here, right? And so as that's happening, you get through your line. Shooting on a built set was an interesting experience. It was my first time working on something like that. Allie Luke, our set designer, she was actually able to seek consultation from the set designer of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. And so they gave us lots of tips on how to build the set in cheap and effective ways. Because of the nature of where we were shooting that sequence, we were basically given a 24-hour window where we had to build the set, shoot all the scenes on that set, and tear it all down within a 24-hour window. And they managed to really come in clutch, and I'm really proud of what we were able to accomplish within that 24-hour time frame. Yeah, that's good.
We are gonna need his.
Not too much. I mean, just get your hands up there. Reverse flash. BD1 was going to be an interesting challenge because we were on a short budget. At first, we were playing around with a physical puppet. The more planning we went into it, the more complicated it became. It just made more sense to get into CGI. So we did some test shoots, and as soon as I saw the test footage, I was like, that's what we're doing. That's how it's got to be. I'm really, really proud of my VFX team, especially the lead VFX supervisor, Andrew Ellis, with BD1 and all of his movements and quirks and personalities and all those things. He nailed it.
I've always loved Star Wars since I was very little. My dad and uncle got me into it when I was probably around 5 years old. I just decided one day I'll put like a little story I had in mind to life, and that's kind of where I went.
We need to send word to Captain Khan. Are you alright? Can you hear me?
And then now working on this Kestis fan film with all these live action characters is just so cool. Just transferring the characters from the game and translating them over to live action, including obviously characters from some of the books, from the Republic Commando books, those Mandalorians. So it's just really cool to adapt BD, for example, and bring his movements to life as it was in the game.
In order for me to actually do the animations, I need to put the scene I'm working on in the background, and I make the background slightly transparent. Darker lights create the illusion of a shadow, whereas the lighter ones are more of what pops for the viewer to see. This is how it looks in the editor. That orange square is where BD's legs are getting cut off, and anything else within that border is also going to get cut. And I have to do that not necessarily frame by frame, but every so often I need to slowly move that border. Now this is motion tracking, and this is how I track BD on Cal's shoulder so that when Cal's walking, BD stays planted on the shoulder and isn't flying off the screen. And these blue lines are the path that BD's going, which is in sync with Cal. In this zoom up of BD's face, you'll notice a slight film grain that I added, and I'm turning it on and off so you can notice. It's intended, again, to help BD blend in better with the environment, and because the film itself does have a slight grain, if BD didn't have it, it would just look out of place. And I've also desaturated him a little bit.
Took you long enough.
It's just a great opportunity working with so many talented people, and I'm very grateful to be working on this with everybody.
No film production is perfect. Things are bound to go wrong. When you have a character like Cal Kestis in the Dark Times era, right, the Galactic Empire, you gotta have stormtroopers. We were just within 8 hours of our first shooting day. I got a text from one of my stormtroopers, and he canceled on me. And I was like, okay, we still got 2 more stormtroopers left. I think I can make that work. The morning of, like we're on set, we're getting ready for that first shot, I get a text from both of my stormtrooper actors saying, hey, sorry we can't make it this week, unfortunately, sorry about that, hate to leave you hanging. Within minutes before our first shot, I had to figure out what in the world we're gonna do. What am I gonna do with this massive script full of stormtroopers and I have no stormtroopers? And Ethan Mauser basically was my knight in shining armor. He's like, hey, I've got this app where I can scan the environment and the lighting and the values and highlights and shadows, and we can can save all that data that we can go back during post-production and use to create CGI stormtroopers. Okay, all right, I guess that's what we're doing. We're gonna have CGI stormtroopers. And I gotta say, I was really nervous all through production. That entire week of filming, I was so nervous, and I could see it on everyone's faces. They were so nervous as well, because it was like our actors had to interact with stormtroopers that didn't exist. But we got through production. I sat down with our supervisor, Andrew Ellis. We talked about the challenge of creating CGI stormtroopers, and again, like, he just devoted so much time, so much effort into giving us the best results possible. Considering the situation that we were in, he took it, he owned it. It's just a testament of passion over the paycheck, love for Star Wars and the filmmaking craft. He saw this as an opportunity. I'm just really proud of Andrew and what he did for this production.
Alright, what's up guys? My name is Ethan Mauser, and I'm one of the visual effects artists for Kestis, a Jedi Survivor Story. Today I'm going to be taking the time to show you some of the shots I've been working on so far. This one here is a shot that I worked on with another artist, Andrew. I started out by projecting an image onto a plane in Blender and adding a cloth simulation. I then rendered out the animation, added it to this shot, and animated a little shadow to really sell the effect. Lastly, I added Andrew's shot of the stormtrooper to my shot with the flag, making this. When people think of visual effects, they usually think of spaceships and lightsabers and explosions, but sometimes they're completely hidden. With this shot, I duplicated some of the trees in the background and pasted them over the church behind the Mandalorians. It doesn't seem like much, but it really helps to sell the effect that they're on another planet. With this one, I downloaded a Star Destroyer model, rotated it to match the perspective of the shot, tracked it into the scene, and played with some color settings to make it look like it was high in the atmosphere. I've also been working on another cool scene for this film, but I gotta keep it a surprise, so can't wait to show you, and I'll see you guys soon.
At the end of the script, the climax of the entire story was, of course, Galen Merrick bringing down the Star Destroyer, which was sort of a callback to a Force Unleashed video game where he does the same exact thing. I knew I wanted that scene to exist. I knew I wanted it to happen. I was playing around with some alternative scenes in case the Star Destroyer sequence didn't work out. There was a version of the script where he performs harakiri and he kills himself with his own lightsaber, but the more I thought about that moment, the more I was just like, no, I've got to put everything I've got into making this scene happen, because if it works out, it's going to be one of the coolest moments in Star Wars fan film history. Andrew Ellis on it. I reached out to Victor Statuick on Fiverr. We put a whole bunch of different people on it, all sorts of rigging and blending and lighting and all these things to make that Star Destroyer look as real as possible. I think it was somewhere between like $1,500 and $2,000 ultimately to put together like 10 seconds of visual effects, and it was so worth it. It's such a fun scene, and I'm really proud of my guys for the work that they did. I hear nothing but good things about that moment, so to me, that was an absolute success.
Vanity.
We don't have time for this.
What do we do now?
Anything but this. Drop dead, laser brain. We'll make you.
The duel was going to be, in many ways, the epicenter of the fan film. We knew it had to be brutal and it had to be fast-paced. It also had to be smooth and graceful and an accurate representation of Cal Kestis and Galen Merrick.
Get ready, BD.
Your death was a disappointment to me.
Part of the challenge was finding a way for Galen Merrick to fight where it made sense in the Disney canon, but also respected the legacy that Galen Merrick left behind. And a lot of that was just a matter of getting to the heart of who Galen Merrick was, which was a super powerful Force user with an identity crisis. How do we capture that idea in the Disney canon universe? And I think we found a happy middle ground that made sense, and that he was a former Jedi Padawan like Cal Kestis, where instead of taking the path that Cal Kestis took, he actually succumbs to the dark side and becomes an Inquisitor. And Galen Merrick as an Inquisitor just made perfect sense to me and Wesley as we were figuring out the lightsaber choreography. And we also went back to early conversations about Starkiller back when LucasArts was developing the game, and they were talking about how Galen Merrick is essentially Luke Skywalker if he joined the dark side.
We sort of decided that the apprentice is kind of like a dark Luke Skywalker.
Join me.
This is what would have happened to Luke Skywalker had he joined Vader.
With our combined strength.
This is how Luke would have been trained. This is what Luke would have been like.
And so when we were choreographing the lightsaber duel, we actually borrowed moments from Rogue One, where Darth Vader's in the hallway, and Luke Skywalker's hallway scene in Mando Season 2. And we basically incorporated those same movements into Galen Merrick's fight with Cal Kestis as a way of capturing those ideas as closely as we could. Lightsaber's on, and turns up. Your death was disappointing. Lightsaber turns on. He's holding it. Now, BD. It was also a unique challenge because I'm wearing a helmet with a thin visor as my eye line, and I'm also wearing these long 3D plastic claws. So it was a bit of a challenge because we'd be fighting and the claws would pop off, or I would lose my grip on the lightsaber. But the more we did it, the more comfortable I got, and I was able to navigate the fight and without losing claws or losing the lightsaber in any way. And I think ultimately it's exactly what a fight between an Inquisitor Galen Merrick versus post-Jedi Fallen Order Cal Kestis, how that kind of duel would have gone, is that Cal Kestis is just trying to survive. Starkiller would have been on the attack the entire time. Cal Kestis would have to get into Galen Merrick's head if he's gonna get out of there. And of course, if it wasn't for BD1, he probably would not have gotten out of there. Right here where the pile of poop is, the number 2 is your number 1, right? Yes. This is position 1. When we call action, you're gonna run this way, Naruto style, not really. So you sneak over here to get down on your knees, you're like, looking around.
I could probably name some lightsabers.
Now you're looking at it, kind of turning around your hand, looking at the button. You even press it, but it's broken, so it doesn't turn on, but you're still like pretending it, and you're pressing the button and moving around and stuff. I'm just fascinated. And then all of a sudden, much like the foretelling, the post-credit scene was not in the original script.
Dan, you know you're not supposed to be wandering out here alone.
I sometimes play volleyball on Monday nights. One particular Monday night, I ran into this guy on the volleyball courts. I was just shocked at how much he looked like Mark Hamill. And so we started talking. Turns out he's a model and actor. I was like, I've got to work with you. Like we've got to do something with this incredible happenstance. And so as soon as I got home that night, I started brainstorming some kind of way that I could get Luke Skywalker in my Cal Kestis fan film. The perfect bookend to these two fan films is to end it with Luke Skywalker, the very person that Zenutaru was seeing in his visions. That just felt like the perfect way, the perfect bow on the top to wrap up this story. In Battlefront 2, you've collected tons of trinkets and knickknacks from the past, and one of these trinkets is Zenutaru's lightsaber. Of all the things in that room, for some reason he's drawn to Zenutaru's lightsaber, which is a foreshadowing of who he's ultimately going to turn into, is this guy who has a confused sense of responsibility and balancing the Force, and that the Force is always in control. You can trust the Force. You said the Force clear?
I did.
You're a Jedi. Performance-wise, it's very 70s. 70s actors are very, very genuine with their performances. But I was going to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters. It's very gosh darn it, so you're thinking, you're curling your eyebrows. You don't want to tell them the hard truth, like this lightsaber belonged to a guy who massacred children like you.
Right.
No. You're gonna try to compare Ben to Ben. Right? Ben Solo is named after Obi-Wan Kenobi. So compare the two. They were both Jedi from the prequel era. They both went through Order 66 and the Jedi Purge. They both went into exile on a planet all by themselves. And what's the difference? One trusted the Force and one did not. Yeah. And in this moment, this was your opportunity to teach Ben trust in your training, trust in the Force. Your training as a Jedi is integral to who you are as a servant of the Force. Because to be a Jedi requires complete dedication. It requires complete dedication, or your focus is divided. And if your focus is divided, you're imbalanced. So this is you doing the Luke thing and instilling responsibility and balance into Ben. And so you should look like you have responsibility and balance figured out and mastered. All right. So I'll text you the audio, and that can be your project for the next few days until we get to Thursday. And it was such an incredible, surreal experience shooting a scene with that character. Everybody I talked to about that scene is like, wow, he looks and sounds just like Luke Skywalker, and it looks like he's on Ossus, and everything was just so right. And I was like, yes, that was success for me.
All the relics to choose from, and you took this one. Why? Many hard times, but his resolve and patience made him a great master.
Master Luke, who did it belong to?
He's gonna sit here and think about it. This is a deep story. There's a lot of intrigue and depth around this weapon, so he's gonna think of the best way to tell this little youngling about the story, right? Mm-hmm. So then he's gonna think about it, and then he's gonna direct you this way. He's gonna say, come, let's walk, let's go for a walk. And he's gonna explain that. Having your hands clasped together, a lightsaber in the other hand, and again, we'll probably cut somewhere about here, and we'll take it to another spot that's just much prettier looking, and we'll go wide, and we'll just run through that whole scene where you're just walking with him. But we're gonna break this into a couple of shots. The idea is that we shoot the same way George Lucas would have during A New Hope. So not a whole lot of panning or fancy camera tricks. It's really just simple, wide shots, the occasional close-up, and just letting the scene breathe.
Ben, when you turn to look, can you show me you turning to look at Luke?
Be one of those Karens. If you can BTS, I'm gonna BTS.
Ben, kind of keep your arms at your side, and maybe just kind of like look at the ground as you're listening. Just maybe cock your head to the side, because you're just kind of thinking and taking in his words. But maybe you're a little bit distracted, maybe just a little, Like maybe if you actually took this lesson to heart, the sequel trilogy wouldn't have happened. Yeah. That kind of thing. Zenutaru was blinded by his ability to see into the future. Cal Kestis, after the events of Jedi Fallen Order, had to make a sacrifice and trust that the Force was going to take care of things. Galen Merrick was a character that trusted too much in his physical abilities, his futile matter. Bard and Jessic had to learn the balance between family and spirituality. Like, what do you do? How do you choose between family and religion? It was just the perfect way to wrap up these stories, is to put Luke Skywalker back at the center of it. I think the takeaway from the foretelling in Kestis is that relying on yourself is futile because we're imperfect beings, and trusting in that higher power frees you from whatever sort of burden you have in your heart. A lot of Star Wars is about that, and overcoming your inner darkness and choosing the light because it's good, right? You choose the light because it is the light, and that's the Jedi way, that's the honorable way, and I think everybody should deny themselves and sacrifice the things that they want the most for the sake of others. I think if more people did that, the world would be a much better place. That to me is what it means to be a Jedi. That to me is what Star Wars is all about.